Welcome. In this video, we'll examine the empirical Bayes approach to credibility theory, used to calculate credibility premiums. So, imagine we are an insurer. We insure 5 different fleets of buses, and we've got historical data on those buses. So we know that for the past so many years, we have how many claims we got for each fleet. So if I display that data, there we go. So there's our fleets. We've got mouse. So we've got 5 different fleets, A to E, and for 6 years we've got what claims we got for each fleet, the number of claims we got for each fleet. So for example, in 2005 we got 1,250 claims for fleet A, but in 2009 we got 3,770 claims for fleet D. Now, in addition, we also have what's called the risk volume, which is here. So, coming back to A 2005, not only do we know that we had 1,250 claims, but we know that those claims came from 5 buses. Same if we look at 2006, we got for fleet D, we got 4,370 claims, but not only that, those came from 9 buses. So we can take this risk volume into account when we are aiming to predict what will be the claims for each fleet in 2011. So the first task to do this will be to calculate what we call E of M of theta. So I better explain this. We assume that for each number of claims, that each fleet is dependent on what's called a risk parameter, which is generally denoted by theta. So if I come here, so we say theta, which is the risk parameter. And this risk parameter influences what we get for each of our claim numbers. But we don't know what theta is. Theta is unknown. Now, in some models, we would actually try to estimate theta. But in this particular model that we're showing here, the EBCT model, we don't try to estimate theta. Rather, we try to estimate a function of theta, m theta. Now, m theta is the expected number of claims made in a year whose risk parameter for a fleet whose risk parameter is theta. So we can think of this as it's an average number. Now, but again, we don't try to figure out what m theta is. So because each fleet can have a different value for theta. So A could have a value for theta, and then D could have a different value for theta. So what we need is to actually estimate is what we'll denote by E of M of theta. E of M of theta is the average of the values of M of theta for different values of theta. Okay, so in this video, in our first step into attempt to predict what our claims will be for 2011, we are going to calculate our estimate for E of M theta. And this is how we do it. So first, we are going to calculate, by the way, just so we're clear, this data frame is Y, and this one, the risk volumes, will be P. Okay, so the first thing we do is we find YT, the row sums of Y. So for each row in Y, we are going to calculate, we're going to add all these together. So we're going to add 250 to 980 to 1800 to 2040 to 2000 to 1180. And that will be the sum for A. And then, so if I, in fact, what I'm going to do, just to show you what this will look like, I will comment things out. If I run that, oops, and I should probably, yeah, let's run that again. Okay, so we see that for each fleet, A to E, we've got the total of all the claims for that particular. So the total claims over the 6 years for A is 8250, for B 18540, and so on and so forth. The next thing we do is we once again we calculate row sums, but this time we do it for P, our risk volumes. So if I do that and I run this, you can see. Okay, hold on. Oh, it's because I put P, isn't it? I should put PT. And then we see we've got our risk volumes for P. So all in all, there were 30, buses in the 6 years that triggered the claims for A, 75 for B, and so on and so forth. Now, what's next? It's simple. We calculate XT, which is YT divided by PT. So if I do that, and I run that, we can see for each fleet of buses, because what we've done is we've done basically, where is it? We've done basically, why isn't, okay, let me, this thing is a bit fiddly, but I'll get the hang of it. So if I do that again, there we go. This figure is basically this divided by that. And we did the same for each of the different fleets. Okay? And we're going to call that XT. Now, what we will do, we'll find the sum of Y of T. So that's the sum of all these. We'll call that YB. We're going to find the sum of all of these. These are the PBs. So the sum of the PBs. So some of the PTs, and we're going to call that PB. And then finally, our estimate for E of M of theta is going to be XB, which is YB divided by PB. And if I now run all of this, there you go. So that was our YB sum, that was our PB, and that's YB divided by PB. So this figure here, this is our estimate for the average of all the different M of thetas, all the different averages, all in one figure. And we're going to need this in order to predict the claims for 2011. Now I'm going to stop here, and next video we're going to look at the next thing we're going to need to calculate in order to make our prediction. But until then, take care.